Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Tanjuatco-Trillo. Today on the program, a week into the official campaign period, Comelec also looks to ease restrictions for physical events. But the poll body is still bent on taking down posters and billboards that do not conform to guidelines. And we get up close with a human rights lawyer and opposition candidate who is running again for a Senate seat. Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares joins us live. The Commission on Elections is giving a 72-hour notice to partisan groups or party lists to remove campaign materials that exceed the prescribed size of 2 by 3 feet. It says the MMDA will forcibly discard the posters and billboards in case the notice is ignored. In a statement, election lawyer Romulo Macalintal argued that Comelec has no right and power to simply remove election campaign materials on private property. Meantime, the poll body says anyone can pursue legal action if they believe the Comelec rules are unconstitutional. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares joins us now. Attorney, thank you so much for being here with us. Our conversation with Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares is going to begin now. Sir, we have many questions for you. First of all, can we get your reaction to Comelec's Oplan Baklas? What do you think of that, sir?
Good morning, Ria. Good morning to the viewers of The Source here at CNN. I agree with Romy Mac. The Comelec is overreached with regards, especially with the taking down unilaterally without even any due process procedure at all of private properties posters. The Supreme Court has ruled in many cases that these are freedom of expression of citizens of the Republic, and anybody who enters a private property, including the Comelec, to take down unilaterally these posters should not be allowed by Comelec. In fact, the Comelec allows posters to be posted in private properties as long as the private person, the citizen, the owner, consents to such an action. So the moment the owner consents, then it is already an expression or an exercise of the freedom of expression of the owner. So I agree that the Comelec rules are too stringent. While we know that, of course, this is for the pandemic, but they've overreached sumobra, absurd. But even if you look at their finance rules, you know, if you get 100 pesos from a supporter or who wants to help you, they have to file this affidavit of donation. Can you imagine that? Why don't they focus on the 100,000 donors or the 1 million donors? Why should they focus on small candidates like me who don't have money? We need the funding from poor people, things like that. Comelec's rules are out of tune, and they're more difficult for poor candidates like me and favorable to administration candidates, especially since the administration holds a lot of appointees in many positions, including LGUs and AFP and PNP. So it's very disadvantageous to the opposition, and I wouldn't be surprised if gamitin ito and weaponized ito against the opposition rather than administration candidates.
All right, Attorney, we've been talking about private properties. Are headquarters, campaign headquarters, ito ba considered private property? And can Comelec immediately dismantle from places like that? Or should they confer with the property owner first? They should give notice, right?
Right. All campaign headquarters, I believe, are all private properties, because no candidate can put up its election paraphernalia in a public building, government building. So if the Comelec rules pertain to candidates and to the private property owners, then that would be an overreach. Now, if you think that the headquarters violate certain rules, then there must be a due process procedure here. You cannot just go in and take out posters, especially These are posters. I saw some videos na sa loob na nga ng headquarters. Tinatanggal ang poster. That's already sa loob na ng headquarters yan eh. So I think Comelec should review its rules right now because by this time, I'm sure almost 100% of candidates would have violated their absurd rules and regulation in one form or the other. Ang problema dyan pag nag-selfie sa'yo yung isang tao, you can be disqualified while pag hindi nagbayad ng tax ang isang kandidato qualified. Yan ang problema dito sa mga ganitong kalakaran ng Comelec.
Now, we had Attorney Barry Gutierrez saying that the Comelec Resolution 10730 limits any removals only of materials produced by candidates or parties. So then, in this case, it means that the right of private citizens must be respected. As you said, it's a freedom of expression. So,
Correct.
I mean, it creates this huge gray area. Do you think that Comelec is violating its own rules or contradicting itself here?
Yes. It violates the Constitution. It violates the Supreme Court decision in the Diocese of Bacolod, where the Catholic Church there put up a huge posters against certain candidates. And the Supreme Court ruled with they were against or a certain candidate. So I think Comelec has overreached here, especially in going into private properties and area. Na lang, and especially pag ang private property owner will file a case against.
All right, Attorney, we seem to be having a bit of a problem with your line.
Mga commissioners, but yung
All right, we will try to get a clearer line
Pati
there with Attorney Neri
Comelec
Colmenares. Attorney, medyo choppy po kayo. Can you try speaking again?
especially, yeah.
All right, we do have Attorney Neri Colmenares on the line, but we seem to be having a problem with communication there, especially with his audio. He was talking about Comelec rules, and in his opinion, the very stringent rules of the Comelec, as far as taking down posters even from private properties, violates the Constitution. And of course, he did cite the Diocese of Bacolod case versus the Comelec back in 2015. But for now, we are going to take a very short break. Our conversation with Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares continues after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares. All right, we have attorney on the line. All right, I think we just lost that line once again, but we did want to speak to him a lot about Oplan Baklas, in which the Comelec is taking down posters of various candidates, even in private properties. Now, when we spoke to Attorney Colmenares before the break, he said he did believe that the Comelec is overreaching. He said it is actually also unconstitutional. All right, Attorney, do we have you back on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So, sir, before we went into a break, you were already starting to cite the Diocese of Bacolod case versus the Comelec that was back in 2015. And that case is now being cited in this issue. So if we remember, the High Court, the Supreme Court, ruled in favor of the Diocese of Bacolod concerning their controversial Team Buhay versus Team Patay tarpaulins, which was put up at the Bacolod Cathedral back in 2013. And the Comelec said, you know, that tarpaulin could stay up because if it didn't, it would be violating the bishop's right to exercise freedom of expression. But then now you have Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez saying that the posters in Bacolod were not to endorse any particular candidate, but rather an advocacy, a point of view of the church at the time. So he's saying these are two different cases and you can't really compare. What are your thoughts?
Well, if you're going to say this is the team, these candidates are Team Buhay, actually the implication is that the Team Patay don't vote for them. But even if the church said vote for them, I mean, that's the expression of these priests and bishops. So I think freedom of expression nila yon. And the Supreme Court has made it clear in many cases. There are two stumbling blocks here for Comelec. First is, where's the law that allows you to go in? And secondly, do you have the requirements of the Constitution that you can go in and without any warrant at all and just take out private belongings? Because these are private properties of people. They printed it. They want their candidates to win. Actually, Ria, this is also disadvantageous for people like us in Makabayan and even Lenny Robredo, for example, who had volunteers all over the country. Wala naman kaming pera. Ako, halimbawa, I don't have a lot of money for TV ads and radio ads and so on. So my only reliance is of the supporters who express their favor for candidates like me. So, I mean, ang hirap naman nun. Siyempre, yung mga mayayamang kandidato, they don't even need to print posters. All they have to do is repeat their TV ads and their radio ads all over the country, and they will win. Really unfair naman doon sa, sabi ko nga kanina, kahit sa finance regulation, yung 100 pesos, pipirma ng affidavit of donation. Sino na bang mahirap? Nagbibigay ka lang ng 100 pesos, magnunotaryo. Anong klase yun? So, Comelec should focus more on these big donors rather than small donors like small people, for ordinary people like me. So, ang napira dito yung public, hindi talaga yung kandidato, kundi yung public ang napira dito.
Okay, so clearly, sir, you feel Oplan Baklas is unfair. You said the Comelec is overreaching. Do you plan to do something about this? And from a legal standpoint, what can be done about it?
From a legal standpoint, of course, you can challenge the resolution issued by the Comelec within the Comelec itself. And if the Comelec denies your petition to void such a resolution, then you can, of course, avail of your remedies in the Supreme Court. Yun lang, sana kailangan kasi alam nyo, too late na go up to the Supreme Court, tapos na yung election. Di ba? I mean, sana Comelec should consider this, thinking na election is a is a participation of the public in an important event that will rule their lives in the next 6 years. Allow them to express themselves. Why should you curtail them? Because of what? Why? What's the reason behind this curtailment of posters doon sa loob ng private places? I don't see any justification there. Sufficient to violate the constitutional rights and freedom of expression of the Filipino people, especially in expressing their choice of candidates who will rule over this country and over them in the next 6 years.
All right, so attorney, are you personally going to file any challenges against this, or anyone from your group going to do that?
Yes, actually, we will have a meeting na tomorrow to discuss that. Yun lang, we're really imploring Comelec. Kasi if we employ the legal procedure, hindi namin alam kaya na matapos yan eh. So, we were going to have a legal meeting tomorrow to discuss our legal remedies here. And I hope many other candidates also do the same, and even private persons will also do the same, if only to show Comelec that this absurd rule should not be there in its regulations.
All right, sir. Now, since the campaign kickoff, we've seen huge crowds in several gatherings in support of various candidates. But actually, this is prohibited under Comelec rules, whether it's the handshakes, the selfies, the hugs, among other, actions. Should the poll body review its rules, especially amid lowered alert levels? And we anticipate the alert levels could possibly be lowered even more.
Again, I agree with the learned election lawyer here, Attorney Macalintal, when he said, of course, we know that Comelec needs to take care of the health it sends, but the ATF does that. Comelec is supposed to regulate election rules, election laws. Let the AAP take care of that. Are there science experts in the Comelec? Are there people who would know, let IATF do that rather than you just take care of the election laws and election rules. For example, you need permit in the RCC, the Comelec. What law required candidates to ask for permits from Comelec? Hindi ba LGU lang yung permit? It's a BP 880 issue siguro at the very least. Nagugulat kami sa rules ng Comelec in the guise of pandemic when they're not even knowledgeable of how to contend with the pandemic because that's not their field. So their field is to regulate election law. So it has to be challenged, and I'm very disadvantageous yan sa mga mahirap na kandidato like me, and of course the opposition candidate, because yung mga general, ang mga DILG, PNP, AFP na nag-i-issue ng mga permit na yan, appointed ng administrasyon. Diba? Ito yung, at least yung LGU, elected naman yan ng tao doon kanila. So, really disadvantageous opposition. I wouldn't be surprised pag ang ipapadisqualify nila dito, opposition candidate, siguro mag-mix sila ng konting administrasyon, but yung big guns ng opposition, i-disqualify nila on the basis na nag-violate ng Comelec rules.
All right, on that note, sir, we need to be taking a short break, but we will be back. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today is Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares. So, Attorney, happy to have you with us again. I'd like to talk about some of the latest surveys. Vice President Leni Robredo ranked second in the latest Pulse Asia survey and commissioned SWS survey. And then you have presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos still ahead, significantly so. What is your assessment of these results?
Well, presuming, of course, these results are true, because surveys are supposed to be, surveyed on various respondents. Well, the 60% lead of Marcos Jr. is not insurmountable. In fact, there have been instances the presidential candidate got 63%. But in the end, it was only 36% from election day. If I may mention, Senator Rojas had 53%. Senator Lauren Legarda, 18%. Vice President Binay had 9%. But in the end, Vice President Binay won over Senator Rojas by I think, 0.8%. So you see, all these are just, snapshots of the present, as they say. Secondly, Bongbong Marcos' campaign is weak. That's my opinion, of course. It's weak. Why? Because it is based on false narratives. So a campaign based on false narratives is a very weak campaign. Because Bongbong Marcos has no track record to speak of. He claims the supposed gains or achievements of his father. But the moment that you ask him about, what about cronyism, plunder, human rights violation, and graft and corruption, he knows nothing about it. So anong klaseng kampanya ito ni Ria? Na sabihin ni Bongbong Marcos, lahat ng tagumpay ng tatay ko, akin yan. Lahat ng kasalanan niya, wala akong alam dyan. That kind of a campaign line is weak.
But we've been hearing that narrative for quite a while now, Attorney, and yet the ratings are still so high. Why do you think that is?
Well, for me, a lot of people are, kasi grabe ang SOCMED. That's my opinion, of course. SOCMED, nila, has been going on for years. Under the radar, yung targeted SOCMED, So they were able to convict a lot of people on the correctness of their propaganda. A lot of people, especially the young, were not even taught what happened during martial law, but they're vulnerable. I don't blame the people here. Actually, ordinaryong tao sila eh. They're ordinary farmers, they're ordinary workers na iniinda rin yung mataas na presyo ng bilihin, mababang sahod. So ang talaga dito, and I'm very confident we can do this, kamigin sila, makakabig sila, because in the Leni camp, but yun naman ang interest na sinusulong eh. Yung issue ng mga manggagawa, issue ng mga kababaihan, issue ng mga magsasaka. So, siguro yun yung isang dyan na pagpababa sa survey ni Bongbong Marcos. I'm very sure, I'm very confident, next survey lalabas this March, bababa na si Bongbong Marcos and he will continue to go down until election day. Right. So, it's based on false narratives. It's easy to debunk and easy to destroy. And that's when the surveys will go down.
So do you think at this point, Attorney, that other presidential candidates might want to sit down and talk and discuss, possible unity if they want to defeat the front runner? Is that a strategy to consider or no?
For me, that's strategy all throughout this campaign. Kung mag-unite lang ang ibang mga kandidato dito, lalong lalakas ang laban. Kaya ang unification ng opposition has been our call since noon pa na pwedeng mangyari. Pwede pa ba mangyari ngayon? Of course, yes. There are instances in certain elections where a candidate withdrew and endorsed another candidate. So I continue to hope to do that it will happen, and many people in fact actually hope that it will happen. Kaya nga sabi ko, ang mata natin, eyes of the ball, Bongbong Marcos ang dito, ang threat sa mamamayang Pilipino. Therefore, as much as possible, hamigin mo rin yung ibang presidential candidate para mag-unify against the Marcos Duterte tandem. So yeah, I think it's a valid option, and in fact, I really hope that presidential candidates will continue to consider this option all throughout this campaign period.
All right, sir, I want to take some time now to talk about your campaign personally with regard to the latest Pulse Asia ranking. In that, you are between 20th to 27th place with 12.1 voter preference. What does it look like to you? How challenging is it going to be for you to enter the Magic 12 to get a seat in the Senate?
Yes, well, actually, very substantial yung increase ng numbers ko in that latest survey. And it's a very good omen in a way. Kasi hindi pa naman nagsimula ang campaign period when it was taken. January 2019 to 23 ata yun. So really, very pa yun. So now within striking distance, I was 20th in 2016, number 20. Ngayon pa lang 20th na ako bago mag-start. So that it can only go up. So yeah, I'm very positive. And I always say this, I have a very nice feeling this is an opposition year. And if this is an opposition year, candidates like me will have bigger chances to win in this election. And I'm very confident that the opposition will win this election in 2022. That's why medyo magaan ang faster victory namin ngayon compared to 2019.
What are your strategies right now, sir, with about 3 months to go before the elections? And how are you funding your campaign?
Well, ang funding sa campaign, talagang yun nga ang problema namin sa Comelec dahil masyado silang focus dun sa maliliit na donors. Ganun kasi crowdsourcing ba na punto na, kung tingin nyo tama ang plataforma ko, against sa kontraktualisasyon, halimbawa, kontraktual kayo, tulungan nyo ako. So, mas ganun pa Ang advantage lang ng makabayan, we have the machinery, we have the members all over the country who do not get paid. These are members of Makabayan who become members of Makabayan, campaign for Makabayan on the basis of principle. So yun lang medyo nakaka-in a way, hindi kami gumagastos katulad ng ibang kandidato who need to hire people to do that. So yung SOCMED teams namin, volunteer yan. Yung campaigners namin, posterer, volunteer yan. So in a way, nakaka-save yun. But of course, kailangan din namin mag-raise ng funds. And we have to, there's no other source except to go to the people who we fought for in all our years in Congress. Pinaglaban namin sila sa Congress. And this time around, despite the problems and the, marami namang atake sa amin, they continue to support us. And we even para fight till the very end para may panalo ang mga kandidato ng Makabayan. And that's what keeps us going.
All right. Now, should you win a Senate seat, sir, what would be your first bill?
First bill, marami kaming bill sa Makabayan kasi comprehensive ang plataforma namin. But first bill, libre gamot, libre paggamot, Ria. Alam mo sa Pilipinas, even before the pandemic, it's not even pandemic-related. Pag magkasakit ka dito, ay ako, goodbye ka talaga kasi kung wala kang savings, mangungutang ka. So sa akin, ang plataforma doon, libre gamot. May konsultasyon ka, libre. Pag may reseta sa'yo, libre. Dapat yun. Hindi naman pwedeng libre konsultasyon. Pag reseta, wala ka ng pambili ng gamot. Libre yon. Pag kailangan mo ng procedure, basta medically certified as necessary ng isang doktor, libre dapat yun. Kaya appendicitis man yun o kidney transplant. Kaya chemotherapy man yan o dialysis. Kay lab test man yan. Alam mo, lab tests are very expensive in the Philippines.
Yes.
Mag-x-ray lang, pero kung mga MRI, CT scan na yan at mga blood test na po. So yan, libre. And we've targeted the funds for that. Kaya-kaya yung libreng gamot at libreng paggamot in the same way na kaya-kaya kung pinasa dati ang 2,000 dagdag sa SSS pension sa House at Senate, and of course yung disaster alert law na kung saan nakaka-receive kayo ng text warnings every time may kalamidad.
That's right. Sir, thank you so much for your time this morning. That was Senatorial candidate Neri Colmenares. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Ria Tanjuatco-Trillo. You're watching CNN Philippines.